Hey everyone, I know I'm just some guy sharing creepy stories, but if you're enjoying the vibe, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe before we dive in. Today's story is a wild one. It's about the time I got a little too curious on the dark web, and yeah, I'm still dealing with the consequences. Let's get into it. Alright, so this all happened a couple of years ago, back when I thought the dark web was just some overhyped corner of the internet. You know, the kind of place where people talk a big game, but in reality, it's mostly boring black markets and fake hitman for hire pages. At least that's what I thought, until I found something different. It was a Friday night, and I was home alone, just killing time online. The usual stuff, scrolling through Reddit, watching random videos on YouTube. I wasn't even looking for anything crazy at first. But then, I stumbled across one of those top 10 scariest dark web stories videos. You know the type. Normally, I just laugh it off, but this time, I don't know, I was in a weird mood, so I figured, why not dive a little deeper? So, I opened up Tor. For those of you who don't know, Tor is a browser that lets you access the dark web, basically the part of the internet that isn't indexed by search engines like Google. It's where the shady stuff happens. But like I said before, most of it is just nonsense. Anyway, I started browsing around some forums. Most of them were the same old conspiracy stuff. Aliens, government mind control, secret societies. It was almost boring. But then I found something different. A forum that didn't have a name, just a bunch of random letters and numbers. It was like I'd stumbled into a hidden corner of the dark web that wasn't meant to be found. The first thing that caught my eye was how empty it felt. There weren't a lot of posts, and the ones that were there were written in this weird cryptic language. No usernames, no profile pictures, just symbols. I couldn't make heads or tails of it at first, but then I found that post. "Are you awake?" That's all it said, nothing else. No context, no explanation, just a single question in bold letters, and underneath it there was a link. Now normally I would have clicked away, but something about this post felt different. It was like it was waiting for me, like it was a test, and the only way to pass was to click the link. So of course I clicked it. Stupid move, I know. The link took me to a live stream. At first it was just a blank screen with a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. The room was small and dingy, with concrete walls that looked damp. It kind of reminded me of one of those abandoned basements you see in horror movies. I was about to close out, thinking it was some glitch or just an empty stream, when someone walked into frame. He was wearing a black hoodie, and the hood was pulled up so I couldn't see his face. He just stood there, staring down at the ground for what felt like forever. I couldn't look away. It wasn't the typical weirdness I was used to seeing online. There was something off, like he knew I was watching. Then slowly he lifted his head and stared straight into the camera. His face was completely blank, no expression. But those eyes, they felt like they were looking straight through the screen, like he could see me. That's when the first message popped up on the screen. "Do you see me?" It was like the stream was interacting with me. I didn't see a chat window, but it felt like the guy in the video could somehow see what I was doing. I stared at the screen for a minute, not sure if I should answer. But my curiosity got the better of me. Again, mistake number 2. So I typed out a quick message. "Yeah, I see you." As soon as I hit enter, he nodded, like he had heard me. And that's when I realized I was in way over my head. The screen flickered for a second, and when it came back, the guy was holding up a piece of paper. It had my name on it, my full, real name. Let me be clear. I hadn't entered any personal information. No username, no login, nothing. And yet there it was, plain as day. My heart started pounding. I tried to tell myself it was some kind of trick. Maybe he pulled it from my IP or something, right? But then he held up another piece of paper. This one had my address on it. That's when the panic really set in. I stared at the screen, my heart racing, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. How could this guy know who I was? I wasn't even on my home Wi-Fi. I was using a VPN. It didn't make sense. Then another message appeared on the screen. "Do you want to play?" I sat there frozen. What kind of game was this? Who was this guy? My mind was racing. trying to make sense of it all. I started thinking maybe it was some elaborate prank, but deep down, I knew something was seriously wrong. I typed back, "What kind of game?" The screen flickered again, and when it came back, the guy was closer to the camera. Too close. I could see his face now. His eyes were dark, sunken in, like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't say anything, but another message popped up. "I'm closer than you think." That was it. I slammed my laptop shut and pulled the plug. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was being watched, even though I was sitting alone in my room with all the doors locked. It was irrational, but I couldn't shake the feeling. But it didn't stop there. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. I didn't answer, but then the texts started coming. The first one, "Don't ignore me." The second one, "I can see you." I jumped out of my chair and ran to the window. I was expecting to see someone standing outside, but the street was empty. I closed the blinds and double-checked the locks on my doors. I was freaking out, but trying to stay calm. I blocked the number, turned off my phone, and spent the rest of the night on edge, convinced someone was watching me. The next morning, I woke up hoping it was all some messed up dream, but when I checked my phone, there was one final message waiting for me. It wasn't a text, it was a letter, in my mailbox. "I'm still here." After that first incident, I did everything I could to avoid thinking about it. I stayed off the dark web completely, deleted the Tor browser, and even changed my Wi-Fi settings just to feel some sense of security. But no matter what I did, that lingering feeling stayed with me, the sense that I was still being watched. For a while, things were quiet. Life went back to normal, and I convinced myself that it had all been a scare, a random hacker or some troll trying to freak me out. But then about a month later, things started happening again. Small things at first, like strange noises outside my apartment at night, or that feeling you get when you think someone's following you, but you turn around and no one's there. I brushed it off at first, told myself it was just paranoia, but then something happened that I couldn't explain away. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I had been running errands most of the day. When I came back to my apartment, everything seemed normal at first. I threw my keys on the counter, went to grab a drink, and when I turned around, I saw it. There was a piece of paper on my coffee table, folded in half like someone had been waiting for me to find it. My heart immediately started pounding because I knew I hadn't left anything there when I left that morning. I picked it up with shaky hands and unfolded it. "I told you I'm still here." No signature, no clue who had left it, but I knew who it was. It had to be him, the guy from the dark web. But how? I had never seen anyone come in or out of my apartment, and my door had been locked when I got back. How had he gotten in? I tore through the place looking for any signs of forced entry, but there was nothing. Not a scratch on the door, no broken windows, nothing. I called the cops, told them someone had broken into my place, but when they arrived and searched the apartment, they found nothing. No fingerprints, no signs of a break-in. They wrote it off as a prank, or maybe I'd left the note myself and forgotten. I could tell they didn't believe me, but I knew someone had been in my home, and if that wasn't bad enough, it was only the beginning. A few nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night to a strange sound. At first, I thought it was just the wind, or maybe someone walking by outside. But as I lay there, I realized the noise was coming from inside my apartment. It was this soft, almost rhythmic tapping. I got out of bed, my heart pounding, and crept through the dark towards the sound. It was coming from the living room. When I turned the corner, I saw it, the same guy from the live stream. He was standing by my window, his back turned to me, tapping his fingers against the glass. My blood ran cold. How had he gotten in? Was this real or was I dreaming? I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I just stood there frozen, watching him. Then slowly he turned around. He looked exactly the same as he had in the video. Same black hoodie, same hollow eyes that seemed to look straight through me. He didn't say a word, just stared at me with this cold, almost inhuman expression. I don't know what I was expecting, but what happened next, it wasn't what I thought. He didn't come at me, didn't say anything. Instead, he raised a finger to his lips, like he was telling me to be quiet. Then he pointed at something in the corner of the room, It was my laptop, closed, sitting on the coffee table. I don't know why, but I felt compelled to open it. My hands were shaking as I flipped it open, the screen flickering to life. The first thing I saw was the Tor browser, the same one I thought I had deleted. But there it was, running on its own. And there in the middle of the screen was a live stream. It was me, a live feed of my apartment from some hidden camera I hadn't even noticed. The stream showed me standing there, staring at my laptop with the guy behind me still tapping on the window. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I slammed the laptop shut and turned around, ready to confront him, but he was gone, just like that. Vanished. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, I tore my apartment apart, looking for the camera, for anything that could explain what was happening. But I found nothing. No hidden cameras, no bugs, no signs of anyone else being there. That's when I realized this wasn't just some hacker messing with me. This was something else, something darker. It was like he could move in and out of my reality whenever he wanted, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. And the worst part, the messages didn't stop. Every few days I would find something new, a text, an email, sometimes even letters in my mailbox. Always the same message: I'm still here. I stopped calling the cops. They couldn't help me, and I didn't tell anyone else either, because I knew they'd think I was crazy. Maybe I was going crazy. I don't know, but I do know one thing. This isn't over. I still get the messages, still feel like someone's watching me, even when I'm alone. And every time I close my eyes, I see him, just standing there in that dark room, staring at me through the screen. I don't think it will ever stop. So after months of living in fear, constantly looking over my shoulder, I started to lose it. I mean, how could I not? Every single day felt like a new chapter in this nightmare. The notes, the texts, the random messages telling me I'm still here. It was like my life had become this twisted game, and no matter what I did, I couldn't break free. At this point, I hadn't touched my laptop in weeks. It just sat there, shut down on my coffee table, like some cursed object I didn't dare go near. But it didn't matter. Whoever or whatever this was, they didn't need me to be online. It was like they were already inside my life, embedded into my reality. There was no escaping it. It all came to a head one night when I was out with friends. I hadn't been going out much because I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. But my friends convinced me to come out for a drink, and honestly, I thought maybe it would help take my mind off things. For the first time in a long while, I felt almost normal. We laughed, talked about stupid things, and for a few hours, I almost forgot about the guy from the dark web. That is, until I went to the bathroom and checked my phone. There was a message waiting for me, a picture message. My heart sank as I opened it. It was a photo of me sitting at the bar, taken from just a few feet away. At first, I thought it was one of my friends messing with me. But as I looked closer, I realized something horrifying. The angle of the photo. It was taken from outside the bar, through the window. Whoever sent it had been watching me the entire time. And then came the text: "You're never alone." I felt sick. I shoved my phone back in my pocket, trying to act normal as I walked back to the table. My friends didn't notice anything was wrong, but I couldn't stay. I made up some excuse about feeling tired and left the bar. The whole time I kept glancing over my shoulder, feeling like someone was right behind me, watching every step I took. When I got home, I immediately checked all my locks, turned on every light, and sat there in the middle of my apartment, heart pounding. I thought about calling someone, telling them what was happening, but who would believe me? I wasn't even sure I believed it anymore. Was I going crazy? Was this all in my head? But then something happened that erased any doubt I had. It was around 3 a.m. when I heard a knock on my door. Not the kind of knock you expect late at night. This was slow, deliberate, like whoever was on the other side wanted me to know they were there. I froze, my mind raced. Who the hell would be knocking on my door at this hour? I didn't want to answer it, but I couldn't just ignore it either. The knocking didn't stop. It just kept going, steady and calm, like the person outside had all the time in the world. I grabbed a baseball bat I kept under my bed and walked slowly toward the door. "Who is it?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. No response. I looked through the peephole, but there was no one there, just the empty hallway. I was about to back away when my phone buzzed. It was another text message. This time it was a video. My hand shook as I hit play, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was a live video of my front door, from the other side. Whoever was recording was standing just outside my apartment, holding the camera up to my door as they knocked. I could hear it through their video, the same slow, deliberate knocking I had been hearing for the past few minutes. I dropped the phone and stumbled back, my mind racing. How was this possible? Who could be doing this? I thought about calling the cops, but what would I tell them? That someone was sending me videos from right outside my door, but there was no one there? The knocking stopped. Silence filled the apartment. I picked up my phone again, desperate for some clue, some explanation. But when I unlocked it, the video was gone. Just like that. No trace of it anywhere. That's when I realized this wasn't just some hacker or troll trying to mess with me. This was something else, something far more dangerous, and it wasn't going to stop. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, bat in hand, waiting for something else to happen, but nothing did. Not for a while anyway. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. No messages, no strange knocks, nothing. It was like whoever, or whatever, had been terrorizing me had vanished. But I couldn't relax. I knew it wasn't over. It was just waiting. And I was right. It all came crashing down about a week later. I woke up one morning to find my laptop open. Remember, I hadn't touched it in weeks. But there it was, screen glowing, waiting for me. There was a single file on the desktop, a video file. The title? Final Warning. I stared at it for what felt like hours, debating whether or not to open it. Part of me wanted to throw the laptop out the window, but I knew I had to see what was on it. I clicked play. The video started with a static screen, and then it cut to footage of me. It was from the night before, me sleeping in my bed. The camera was positioned at the foot of my bed, watching me the entire night. I felt sick, my stomach turning as I realized what that meant. Someone had been in my apartment while I was asleep. But it got worse. As the video continued, the camera slowly panned to the corner of the room, and there he was, the man from the dark web, just standing there watching me sleep. He didn't move. He didn't say anything. He just stood there in the shadows, waiting. The video cut to black, and then a final message appeared on the screen. "You've been warned." I haven't slept since. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I have this sinking feeling that it's not over. Whatever this is, whatever game I got pulled into, it's still happening. And I'm running out of options, and that's where things stand now. I don't know what's coming, but I know I can't run from it forever. If you've stuck with me this far, thanks for listening. If you've got any advice, or if you've experienced something like this, drop it in the comments. I need all the help I can get right now. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully.